our brain is necessary for us to, because the brain is the command center of our whole being. So that particular organ is necessary for the judgment if what will you do if a particular stimulus will be in place, okay, specifically externally. Okay, next is control center. Okay, determines set point, analyze information, determines appropriate response. So I am pertaining the control center na ginanamin nito is the brain natin. So determines set point and analyzes information. So as what I have said, yung stimulus, okay, may mga series of processes up until pupunta siya sa brain natin, and yung brain natin ang mag-determine kung anong gagawin natin if that stimulus will happen. Therefore, there's an appropriate response on that. Next is effector, provides a means of response to the stimulus. So, for example, as what I have said, as what I have given you a while ago, yung hot surface, pag nahawakan nyo, it's either hahawakan siya for a long time or not. So, it depends on how the brain analyzes it and how the brain delivers an answer for you to do an appropriate response on that. So, usually, syempre, we have to take off our hand on that. Next is the effector. Ayun siya, effector, means of response to the stimulus. Okay, feedback mechanisms. So, I will be presenting to you two feedback mechanisms. So, first is the negative feedback. Okay, includes most homeostatic control mechanisms. Shuts off the original stimulus or reduces its intensity. Works like a household thermostat. So, ganito, pag negative feedback, for example, yung organ na yun, nagpo-produce siya ng maraming hormones. Tapos, here comes our body na na-sense nila na, ay, organ, tama na, kasi sobrang dami na na-secrete out mo. So, anong mangyayari? Yung mga organs na yon nakatanggap ng hormones is magme-message na naman sila dun sa main organ na produce ng hormone na yon. Ba't kailangan nila i-message? Kasi nga, they have to message that particular main organ which is responsible for producing so much hormones for it to stop producing. Kasi nga sobra. Pag sobra, nakakasama din. So that's negative feedback. Pag sobrang dami, may message na babalik doon para sabihan siya na you have to stop. Bakit negative feedback? Kasi nga, sobrang dami, dahil sa sobrang dami, that particular organ should stop producing it. Next is the type of feedback mechanism is the positive feedback. Increases the original stimulus to push the variable farther. In the body, this occurs in blood clotting and during the birth of the baby. So if we say positive feedback naman, the other hand, napoproduce lang siya so much. For example, hormones. Okay? Na walang pag-stop or walang magsisignal sa kanya na tama na. Okay. And right now, we will discuss the language of anatomy. So why is it necessary for us to know the terms, familiarize, memorize those particular terms? Because the language of anatomy is yun yung ginagamit sa medicine. Okay, ito yung language na ginagamit natin. So kung magsasabi ng doktor ng ganito na term, so at least hindi ka mangmang sa ganun na term. Meaning, magets mo siya. You do have this proper communication because you know exactly what does the doctor na pinipertain on that particular term. So, the language of anatomy, special terminology is used to prevent misunderstanding. So, for us to have a proper communication between other medical practitioners, we have to use the language of anatomy. So, exact terms are used for position, direction, regions, and structures. So, I'm pertaining here the position of the body, the direction of the body, the regions of the body, and the structures of the body. Hindi ka magsasabi sa doktor na likod, gilid. I mean, yes, understandable siya. Specifically, if you talk about sa gilid ng katawan niya, sa likod ng katawan niya, whatsoever. But in our case, because we are part of the in medical field, so we have to have a common mode of language for us to use it, for us to understand one another. So regional terms, or if we pertain to the location of the body, so we have two. First is, ang introduce ko is the anterior or the anterior body landmark. So if we say anterior, lahat ng nasa harapan ng tao, yun yung anterior. So kung nakita ninyo, may picture ba or may angle ba siya na nakunan yung likod niya? Di ba wala? So that's the anterior body landmark. So what are those body landmarks? If we say landmarks, yun yung mga points na nasa harapan ng katawan ng tao. Ano-ano sila? Sa cephalic, okay, sa cephalic, meron tayong frontal. If we say cephalic, ganito ha, pag cephalic, ilagay sa kokote natin, pag cephalic, we're pertaining to the upper portion of our body, which is our head. If we say cephalic, we are pertaining to head. So, itong head natin. So, what are those body landmarks or points or regions na under sa cephalic or sa head natin? First is the frontal. Okay, please be guided on the arrow na naka-point dyan. Next is orbital or our eyes. Okay, nasal. Next is the buccal and the oral. Okay, ang orbital sa eyes natin, noon natin yung frontal, orbital sa eyes natin, nasal sa nose, buccal yung sa cheeks natin, while yung oral nasa bibig natin. So, mental, yung nasa chin natin, ito yung mental. So, cervical, yung nasa lieg natin. Okay? So, those are points under cephalic body landmark. On the other hand, if we talk about the thoracic, if we say thoracic, yung nasa chest portion natin, yung sa harapan ng katawan, anterior of our body, chest portion, or the thoracic. What are those? We have the sternal. If we say sternal, it is actually at the center of our chest, where if you do surgery on that, you could appreciate the heart, because the heart is actually being protected by the sternum, one of the bones that we have. And yun siya. Next is axillary. So those points are under thoracic or sa ating chest part. Next is abdominal. So under abdominal, we have these umbilical, pelvic, and inguinal. So umbilical, syempre yung nasa pusod natin. Pelvic, yung below sa pusod natin. Inguinal or groin, or nasa hita natin. Pubic is yung sa genitalia. Okay? So, yun yung sa dito na part. Punta naman tayo sa right part natin. Punta naman tayo sa left part na pag-i-enumerate ng mga locations. So, sa upper limb, if we say limb, yun yung siyang extremities natin. If we say extremities, yung parang nakakonect sa main portion ng katawan natin. Siyempre, yung mga nakakonect is yung hands natin. Di ba nakakonect sila dito? Yan, nakakonect dito. Kabila rin nakakonect. At saka yung dalawang legs natin nakakonect din siya sa hita natin. So, yun yung siyang mga extremities natin or limbs natin. So, we will be talking about the upper limb. So, therefore, we're pertaining here our arms. So, yung sa tip ng arm natin, yun yung acromial. Below that is the deltoid, kung saan tayo binabakunahan. Next is, below that is our biceps or the brachial or the arm proper. Next is the antecubital, kung saan kinukunan tayo ng dugo if we do some laboratory assays. Next is the antebrachial, okay? Next is the carpal or the wrist, and the digital or yung mga fingers natin sa kamay natin. And okay, balik tayo dun sa main, okay, sa lower extremities na naman tayo. So, we're pertaining sa legs natin. So, yung sa hawak natin, kung saan naka-attach yung legs natin sa main trunk ng body natin, ang tawag dyan is coxal or the hip.